game forever. March 6th, 1985, Albany, New York. An 18-year-old kid steps into the ring for the very first time as a professional. His name, Mike Tyson. Standing across from him is Hector Mercedes, a fighter with a 0-3 record. No wins, no momentum, just a man trying to survive. From the opening bell, Tyson doesn't wait. He charges. There's no warm-up, no feeling out round, just immediate pressure. He's throwing bombs, short, sharp, and violent. Mercedes tries to stay upright, but the power is too much. Tyson's hooks are thudding into his ribs, smashing into his guard, slicing through him like a buzzsaw. In less than 2 minutes, it's over. A savage combination sends Mercedes to the canvas. He gets up, but he's got nothing left. The referee steps in. It's a TKO. Tyson raises his hands. One fight, one win, one warning to the world. Iron Mike had arrived. Just 36 days after his pro debut, Mike Tyson is back. April 10th, 1985. This time, it's in Albany again. The opponent, Trent Singleton. Another man about to step into a storm. Tyson walks to the ring with that same cold stare. No emotion, no nerves, just focus. Singleton looks calm, but it won't matter. The bell rings. Tyson comes out with bad intentions. He's bobbing, weaving, moving like a tank with speed. Then, bang, a right hand crashes in. Singleton's in trouble already. Tyson doesn't give him a second to think. A left hook lands, another. Singleton's down, flat on his back. He gets up, but it's over before it ever really started. 1 minute and 47 seconds. That's all it takes. Another first round TKO. Tyson moves to 2-0. 2 fights, 2 finishes, and the scariest part, he's just getting started. May 23rd, 1985. Mike Tyson steps into the ring for the 3rd time as a pro, less than 3 months into his career. His opponent tonight, Don Halpin, a journeyman, experienced, and yes, he's been stopped before, but never by anyone like this. Tyson walks in the same as always. No robe, no smile, just that cold stare, and he doesn't come to box, he comes to destroy. From the opening bell, Tyson applies pressure. He's bobbing low, slipping shots, ripping to the body. Halpin fights back. He's not here to lay down, but Tyson's power is different, thudding, relentless. Round after round, Tyson keeps coming. He's patient, calculated, breaking Halpin down piece by piece. The crowd feels it. Halpin feels it. Then, in the 4th round, Tyson closes the show. A brutal combination lands clean. Halpin hits the canvas. He beats the count, but the referee's seen enough. It's over. Tyson wins by TKO. 3 fights, 3 wins, all by stoppage. And with every punch, the legend is building. June 20th, 1985. Just 29 days since his last fight, Mike Tyson steps back into the ring. Fight number 4. The opponent this time is Ricardo Spain. Spain walks in with nerves hidden behind a blank stare. But deep down, he knows what's coming. Everyone in the building does. Tyson doesn't waste time. The bell rings, and he charges. He's not just throwing punches, he's launching missiles. Spain tries to move, tries to clinch, but Tyson cuts the ring like a butcher. Seconds in, Tyson lands a thunderous right hand. Spain is down, hard. He gets up, but his legs are gone. Tyson moves in for the finish. Another brutal flurry, another knockdown. This time, Spain doesn't beat the count. It's over in 39 seconds. Tyson's fastest finish yet. 4 fights, 4 knockouts. And Mike Tyson is starting to look less like a prospect and more like a problem. July 11th, 1985, Mike Tyson returns for his 5th professional fight, just 22 days after his last knockout. His opponent, John Alderson, tall, rangy, 6'4". He's got the size, but Tyson's got the menace. From the opening bell, Tyson charges forward, slipping, bobbing, closing distance. Alderson tries to jab and move, but Tyson's already inside, digging to the body, ripping uppercuts, tight shots that hurt. Alderson hangs on through the first. He's taking damage, but he's still there. Then comes round 2. Tyson presses harder. He steps in and lands a thunderous right cross. It lands flush. Alderson drops. He gets up, shaken, wobbly. He survives the round, but the damage is done. He doesn't come out for the third. He's had enough. Mike Tyson wins by second round stoppage. 5 fights, 5 wins, all by knockout. And with every fight, the message is getting louder. This kid is something different. July 19th, 1985. Tyson's 6th fight. He stops Larry Sims with a third round KO. There's no surviving footage, but the result speaks for itself. Another knockout. Another victim. August 15th, 1985. Just 5 months after making his debut in March, Mike Tyson steps into the ring for the 7th time. His opponent, Lorenzo Kennedy. The bell rings, and Tyson goes straight to work. He closes the distance in seconds. No feeling out, no hesitation, just pressure. Then, bang. A crushing left hook lands clean. Kennedy hits the canvas. He beats the count, but Tyson's not finished. He storms in with a vicious combination, and Kennedy goes down again. It's over. First round knockout, 7 fights, 7 wins, all by stoppage. Tyson's not just rising, he's tearing through everything in front of him. Another knockout, another victim. September 5th, 1985. Mike Tyson enters the ring for his 8th professional fight. Just 6 months into his career, and the knockouts keep coming. Tonight, it's Michael Johnson's turn. From the start, Tyson is all pressure, slipping jabs, cutting the ring, loading up shots with bad intentions. Then, Tyson digs a vicious left hook to the body. Johnson goes down, gasping for air. He beats the count, but the damage is done. Tyson moves in for the finish. Seconds later, he unleashes a savage right hand, clean, brutal, final. Johnson drops hard. It's over. First round knockout. Again. 8 fights, 8 wins, 8 knockouts. Mike Tyson is a force of nature, and no one's making it out of the first round. October 9th, 1985. Mike Tyson steps in for his 9th professional fight. This time, the opponent is Donnie Long, a veteran, confident, even claiming he's going to derail the Tyson hype train. But once the bell rings, that confidence disappears fast. Tyson comes out aggressive, sharp, explosive. Seconds in, a thunderous left hook puts Long on the canvas. He gets up, but Tyson's not done. Another flurry, another knockdown. Long's legs are gone, but he keeps trying to fight. Tyson finishes it with a final brutal combination. A third knockdown, and that's it. First round, 3 knockdowns, fight over, 9 fights, 9 wins, 9 knockouts. Mike Tyson isn't just winning, he's obliterating. October 25th, 1985. Just 16 days after flattening Donnie Long, Mike Tyson is back again. Fight number 10. The opponent, Robert Coley. From the moment the bell rings, it's one-way traffic. Tyson charges forward, slipping shots, ripping hooks, throwing every punch with bad intentions. Coley backs up, trying to stay out of danger. But Tyson closes the distance in a flash. Then, boom! A crushing shot lands clean. Coley hits the canvas, out cold. 1 round, 1 punch too many. It's another knockout. 10 fights, 10 wins, 10 knockouts. Tyson isn't slowing down. He's picking up steam. November 1st, 1985. Mike Tyson steps into the ring for the 11th time, just a week after his last fight. This time, it's Sterling Benjamin standing in front of him. The bell rings, and Tyson does what Tyson does. Immediate pressure. He storms forward, bobbing low, firing heavy shots to the body and the head. Benjamin tries to move, tries to stay on the outside, but it's no use. Tyson traps him against the ropes and unloads. A vicious barrage lands. Benjamin can't answer. The referee steps in. First round. TKO. 11 fights, 11 wins, 11 stoppages. Tyson's pace is insane. His power is real. And everyone in the division is starting to take notice. November 13th, 1985. Mike Tyson steps in for his 12th professional fight. Just 12 days after his last outing. This time, he's facing Eddie Richardson. It doesn't take long. Tyson charges forward, eyes locked, fists loaded. Then, bang. A thunderous right hand drops Richardson hard. He crashes to the canvas. The crowd erupts. Richardson somehow gets up, but he's on borrowed time. Tyson moves in, patient but ruthless. Moments later, he lands a brutal left hand, and that's the end of it. Richardson's down again. This time, he's not getting up. Another first-round knockout. 12 fights, 12 wins, 12 knockouts. Tyson's not just winning, he's sending a message. November 22nd, 1985. Just 9 days after his last knockout, Mike Tyson steps in for fight number 13. This time, it's Conroy Nelson, a big man, experienced, with some power of his own. But none of that matters. Tyson comes out fast, as always. Slipping shots, digging to the body, backing Nelson up early. Nelson tries to stand his ground, tries to trade, but Tyson's just too quick, too sharp, too violent. In the second round, Tyson turns it up. He traps Nelson on the ropes and unloads. A brutal combination crashes through. Nelson can't respond. The referee jumps in. It's over. Second round TKO. 13 fights, 13 wins, 13 knockouts. The streak rolls on, and Tyson keeps looking more terrifying every time out. December 6th, 1985, Mike Tyson steps in for fight number 14, just 2 weeks after his last victory. This time, it's Sammy Scaff in the other corner, tall, over 6'5", thinking maybe he can use his size. But Tyson isn't interested in reach or height. From the opening bell, he goes to work, slipping jabs, digging to the body, closing distance with bad intentions. Then, he lands it. A brutal left hook crashes home. Scaff drops like a tree, and he's not getting up. 14 fights, 14 wins, 14 knockouts. Tyson's not rising, he's erupting. December 27th, 1985. Just 2 days after Christmas, and Mike Tyson is right back in the ring. This is fight number 15, and his opponent tonight is Mark Young. What's staggering is the pace. Tyson made his pro debut on March 6th. This is his 15th fight in just 296 days. That's one fight every 19.7 days. Relentless. And once again, Tyson wastes no time. He comes out sharp, focused, closing the distance like a predator. Then, boom. A single savage uppercut detonates under Young's chin. He goes down hard, flat. It's over. First round knockout. 15 fights, 15 wins, 15 knockouts. Tyson isn't just fighting often, he's ending careers before the first bell finishes echoing. 1985 was just the beginning. 15 fights, 15 knockouts, and Tyson was only getting started. As 1986 approached, the boxing world braced for the storm that was coming. January 11th, 1986. A new year, but the same Mike Tyson. Just 2 weeks into the calendar, he's already back in the ring. Fight number 16. The opponent, David Jacko. Jacko comes in with experience and height, but none of that helps. Tyson starts fast, relentless pressure, slipping shots, and ripping brutal hooks to the head and body. Jacko can't keep him off. He's dropped once, then again, and again. 3 knockdowns in 1 round. The fight's over. TKO in round 1. 16 fights, 16 wins, 16 knockouts. The year may have changed, but Tyson's destruction is only picking up speed. January 24th, 1986. Just 13 days after his last outing, Mike Tyson returns for fight number 17. This time, it's Mike Jamison, tough, experienced, and expected to take Tyson some rounds. And he does, briefly. Tyson applies pressure from the start, cutting off the ring, battering the body, picking his shots with precision. In round 4, Jamison goes down. He gets up, but he's fading fast. Then in round 5, Tyson drops him again, heavy. Jamison beats the count, but he's in no condition to continue. The referee takes one look and waves it off. TKO, round 5, 17 fights, 17 wins, 17 knockouts. The streak rolls on, and Tyson shows he can go rounds, if you last that long. February 16th, 1986. Fight number 18. Mike Tyson steps into the ring against Jesse Ferguson, a seasoned heavyweight known for his durability and experience. Ferguson had previously secured victories over notable opponents, including a win against James "Buster" Douglas, showcasing his resilience in the ring. From the outset, Tyson applies relentless pressure. His trademark aggression and power are on full display. In the 5th round, Tyson lands a devastating uppercut that breaks Ferguson's nose, visibly affecting his performance. As the fight progresses into the 6th round, Ferguson resorts to excessive holding, attempting to neutralize Tyson's onslaught. The referee issues multiple warnings, but the holding continues. Eventually, the referee intervenes, stopping the fight due to Ferguson's repeated infractions. The bout is officially recorded as a technical knockout in favor of Tyson. 18 fights, 18 wins, 18 knockouts. Tyson's dominance continues, overcoming his most dangerous opponent to date with unwavering determination. March 10th, 1986. Mike Tyson's 19th fight. The opponent, Steve Zowski. Another test, another opportunity for Tyson to make a statement. From the opening bell, Tyson takes control, slipping jabs, closing the distance, digging heavy shots to the body and head. Zowski tries to hold on, but Tyson keeps coming, relentless, explosive. In the third round, Tyson ends it. A vicious left uppercut lands clean. Zowski goes down, flat on his face. He's counted out. Knockout, round 3, 19 fights, 19 wins, 19 knockouts, another finish, another name on the list. Tyson's momentum is unstoppable. May 3rd, 1986. Mike Tyson's 20th fight. The opponent, James "Quick" Tillis, a seasoned veteran, former world title challenger, and the most experienced fighter Tyson had faced to date. From the opening bell, Tillis uses his experience, jabbing, moving, clinching, to frustrate Tyson. In the fourth round, Tyson lands a crisp left hook, sending Tillis to the canvas. Tillis rises quickly, unhurt, but the knockdown proves pivotal. As the fight progresses, Tillis continues to utilize his movement and jab, while Tyson presses forward, landing heavy shots when he can. The bout goes the full 10 rounds, marking the first time Tyson has been taken the distance. The judges score it unanimously for Tyson, 6-4, 6-4, and 8-2. His record improves to 20-0, but the knockout streak ends. 20 fights, 20 wins, 19 knockouts. A new chapter begins. Tyson proves he can go the distance and still come out on top. May 20th, 1986. Just 17 days after going the distance for the first time, Mike Tyson steps back into the ring. Fight number 21. The opponent, Mitch "Blood" Green. Green isn't just another journeyman. He's a 6 feet 5 inches heavyweight with a 16-1-1 record, ranked number 7 by the WBC. A former 4-time New York Golden Gloves champion, Green is known for his toughness and street-hardened reputation. From the opening bell, Tyson presses forward, but Green has a plan: clinch, hold, and survive. He uses his reach and size to smother Tyson's offense, tying him up whenever he gets close. Tyson stays aggressive, digging to the body, slipping jabs, and landing short hooks inside. He controls the pace, but Green refuses to go down. The rounds pile up. Tyson dominates the action, but Green's strategy keeps him upright. After 10 rounds, the decision is unanimous. Tyson wins on all cards, 2 scores of 9-1, 1 of 8-2, 21 fights, 21 wins, 19 knockouts. Another decision, another lesson. Tyson's rise continues, tested, but still unbeaten. June 13th, 1986. Fight number 22. Just 3 weeks after his win over Mitch Green, Mike Tyson returns to the ring. The opponent, Reggie Gross, a big punching southpaw with a reputation for chaos in the opening rounds. Gross comes out firing, throwing wild looping shots, trying to overwhelm Tyson with aggression. But Tyson stays cool. He slips the punches, closes the distance, and then, bang! A brutal counter left hook detonates on Gross's chin. He drops hard. Knockout. First round. 22 fights. 22 wins. 20 knockouts. Tyson's back on the knockout trail, and doing it in devastating fashion. June 28th, 1986. Fight number 23. Just 15 days after dismantling Reggie Gross, Mike Tyson is back again. The opponent, William Hosea, a durable heavyweight with a solid 12-3 record. But from the first bell, Tyson makes it clear. This won't last long. He marches forward, slipping jabs and unloading with clubbing hooks from both hands. The sound of leather echoes through the arena. Hosea can't handle the pressure. A brutal barrage lands clean. Left, right, left. Hosea crumples to the canvas. Knockout, first round, 23 fights, 23 wins, 21 knockouts, another ruthless finish. Tyson's march toward the top continues, unstoppable. July 11th, 1986. Fight number 24. Just 2 weeks after blasting out William Hosea, Mike Tyson returns to the ring. His opponent, Lorenzo Boyd, a tall, rangy heavyweight trying to survive the storm. From the opening bell, Tyson goes to work, slipping shots, cutting the ring, digging to the body. Boyd does what he can to hold and stall, but the pressure is relentless. In round 2, Tyson closes the show. A vicious body shot folds Boyd over, and then comes the finisher. A thunderous right uppercut snaps his head back and sends him down hard. The referee doesn't count. Knockout, second round, 24 fights, 24 wins, 22 knockouts, another brutal finish. Tyson's rise is punishing and precise. July 26th, 1986. Fight number 25. This one has buzz. The opponent, Marvis Frazier, son of the legendary Joe Frazier. A former amateur standout, 16-1 as a pro, his only loss coming to Larry Holmes. He's expected to be a real test, but it never becomes a contest. From the opening bell, Tyson sprints across the ring. No feeling out, no hesitation. He closes the distance instantly and launches a vicious uppercut that nearly lifts Frazier off the canvas. Frazier crumbles to the mat. He tries to rise, but he's finished. The referee waves it off at just 30 seconds. First round, knockout. 25 fights, 25 wins, 23 knockouts. Marvis Frazier came with a name and a reputation. Tyson sent him home with neither. August 17th, 1986. Fight number 26. Mike Tyson faces Jose Ribalta, a big, tough Cuban heavyweight with a granite chin and no intention of backing down. And from the opening bell, Ribalta shows it. He stands toe-to-toe, absorbing Tyson's bombs and firing back. He's dropped, but gets up. Hurt, but keeps swinging. Round after round, Tyson pounds the body, rips uppercuts through the guard, and wears Ribalta down. But Ribalta refuses to fold. Until round 10. Tyson pours it on. A brutal barrage of punches pins Ribalta to the ropes. A final right hand lands flush, and the referee has seen enough. He steps in. It's over. TKO, round 10, 26 fights, 26 wins, 24 knockouts. Ribalta showed heart, but Tyson showed why nobody can survive for long. Relentless, violent, unstoppable. September 6th, 1986. Fight number 27. Mike Tyson returns to the ring just 3 weeks after his war with Jose Ribalta. This time, the opponent is Alfonso Ratliff, tall, experienced, and confident. But Tyson wastes no time. He cuts the ring, closes the distance, and starts digging heavy shots to the body and head. Ratliff tries to stay mobile, but Tyson keeps him trapped. Then, in round 2, the breakthrough. A stiff left hook lands flush and staggers Ratliff badly. Tyson swarms with a brutal follow-up, and the referee steps in to stop the onslaught. TKO, second round. 27 fights, 27 wins, 25 knockouts. Another opponent overwhelmed. Tyson's speed, power, and precision are on full display, and the destruction just keeps coming. November 22nd, 1986, fight number 28. Mike Tyson steps into the ring at the Las Vegas Hilton to challenge Trevor Berbick for the WBC heavyweight title. At just 20 years and 4 months old, Tyson aims to become the youngest heavyweight champion in history, surpassing Floyd Patterson's record. Berbick, a seasoned Jamaican-born fighter, holds a 31-4-1 record with 23 knockouts. He secured the WBC title earlier that year by defeating Pinklon Thomas. Notably, Berbick is the only boxer to have faced Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes, and now Mike Tyson. From the opening bell, Tyson asserts dominance. He relentlessly pressures Berbick, landing powerful combinations. In the second round, Tyson delivers a right to the body, followed by a left hook to the head, sending Berbick to the canvas. Berbick attempts to rise but collapses multiple times, prompting referee Mills Lane to stop the fight at 2:35 of round 2. Result: TKO, round 2. With this victory, Tyson becomes the youngest heavyweight champion ever, a record that still stands. This fight marks the beginning of Tyson's reign of dominance in the heavyweight division. After an astonishing 28 fights in less than 2 years, a pace almost unheard of in modern boxing, Mike Tyson entered 1987, not as a rising contender, but as the reigning WBC heavyweight champion. Now, the hunted, not the hunter, Tyson's schedule slowed. Just 4 fights followed in 1987, but each one carried the weight of expectation. Every opponent was now a threat to the throne. The knockout machine was about to show he could defend his crown just as viciously as he chased it. March 7th, 1987, fight number 29. Mike Tyson returned to the ring at the Las Vegas Hilton, defending his WBC heavyweight title against James Bone Crusher Smith in a unification bout. Just over 2 years into his professional career, Tyson was already the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Now, he looked to add the WBA belt to his growing collection. Smith, a 33-year-old veteran, had shocked the boxing world 3 months earlier by knocking out Tim Witherspoon in the first round to win the WBA title. Known for his raw power and experience, Smith was viewed as one of Tyson's most dangerous opponents to date. But once the fight began, it turned into a frustrating affair. Tyson pressed forward throughout, looking to unleash his trademark combinations. Smith, however, relied heavily on clinching and holding, repeatedly tying Tyson up to smother the action. Referee Mills Lane deducted points from Smith in rounds 2 and 8 for excessive holding. Despite the lack of fireworks, Tyson was in full control. He landed 191 punches to Smith's 51 and dictated the pace from start to finish. After 12 rounds, Tyson was awarded a unanimous decision with wide scores of 120 to 106 and 119 to 107 twice. With the win, Tyson unified the WBC and WBA heavyweight titles, a major milestone in his quest to become the undisputed champion of the world. May 30th, 1987, fight number 30. Mike Tyson stepped into the ring at the Las Vegas Hilton, defending his WBC and WBA heavyweight championships against former world champion Pinklon Thomas. At just 20 years old, Tyson was already a 2-belt title holder, and the boxing world was watching closely as he continued his meteoric rise toward undisputed status. Thomas, a tall and durable heavyweight with a strong jab and notable toughness, brought a 29-1 record into the bout. He had held the WBC title from 1984 to 1986, making one successful defense before losing the belt to Trevor Berbick. The same Berbick Tyson had demolished in 2 rounds just 6 months earlier. Thomas had never been stopped in his professional career, and many believed he would provide a real gauge of Tyson's ability to handle experienced, well-conditioned opponents. Coming into the fight, there was talk that Thomas had rediscovered his form in training, and was laser-focused on regaining a version of the heavyweight crown. He had switched trainers to the legendary Angelo Dundee, the man who guided Muhammad Ali through his iconic career, and was determined to re-establish himself at the top of the division. But standing across from him was a 20-year-old force of nature who hadn't just been beating opponents. He'd been annihilating them. From the opening bell, Tyson brought immediate pressure. He slipped Thomas's jab and drove home short, thudding shots to the body. His signature head movement made him a difficult target, and his combinations landed with terrifying speed and precision. Thomas tried to establish range with his jab and looked to tie Tyson up in the clinch, but the younger man was relentless, constantly cutting off the ring and forcing exchanges at close quarters. To Thomas's credit, he absorbed significant punishment through the early rounds. He kept his composure and showed flashes of his slick boxing ability, but it was clear the tide was against him. Tyson's power was taking its toll, and the former champ was slowly being broken down. Then came round 6. Tyson burst forward with sudden fury. He cornered Thomas near the ropes and unleashed a vicious 15-punch combination. A savage mix of hooks, uppercuts, and crosses, thrown at blinding speed. Thomas staggered, reeled, and finally crashed to the canvas. It was a spectacular assault, one of the most devastating single offensive sequences in Tyson's career. Thomas bravely tried to rise, but the damage was done. Referee Carlos Padilla didn't hesitate. He waved it off at exactly 2 minutes of the 6th round. Thomas lay on the canvas, eyes glazed, as the crowd erupted in appreciation of what they had just witnessed. Mike Tyson had done it again. It was his 27th knockout in just 30 professional fights. The win wasn't just another defense, it was a statement. Tyson hadn't just beaten a former champion with a chin of granite. He had broken him down, then finished him in spectacular fashion. The stoppage marked the first time Thomas had ever been knocked out. and it reinforced the growing sense that Tyson wasn't just the best heavyweight in the world. He might be one of the most destructive ever. By the end of the night, there was no doubt. Tyson was now marching into the summer of 1987 as the dominant force in boxing, closing in on the third piece of the heavyweight crown. The WBC and WBA belts were secure, only one remained, and Mike Tyson looked utterly unstoppable. August 1st, 1987, fight number 31. Just 2 months after his brutal 6th-round stoppage of Pinklon Thomas, Mike Tyson stepped into the ring once again, this time with history on the line. The opponent, unbeaten IBF heavyweight champion Tony Tucker. The venue, the Las Vegas Hilton. The stakes, all 3 major belts, the WBC, WBA, and IBF. For the first time since the days of Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight division would crown an undisputed champion. Tony Tucker was no ordinary challenger. At 6 feet 5 inches with a sharp jab, fast hands, and an undefeated record of 34-0, he was confident and fully aware of what was at stake. Just 3 months earlier, Tucker had claimed the vacant IBF title by stopping James "Buster" Douglas in the 10th round. Now, he was aiming to do what no man had even come close to doing: defeat Mike Tyson. Tyson, 21 years old and already holding the WBC and WBA belts, entered the fight with a perfect 30-0 record and 27 knockouts. He was the most feared man in the sport, a ferocious blend of speed, power, and aggression. But with the pressure of unifying the division on his shoulders, this would be his most significant challenge yet. The fight began with both fighters feeling each other out. Tyson pressed forward with his trademark aggression and combinations to the body. From the 2nd round onward, he settled into a rhythm, slipping punches, closing the distance, and landing heavy hooks to the head and ribs. Tucker boxed well early, using his height and reach advantage to frustrate Tyson at times. But as the rounds wore on, Tyson's pressure began to break through. The challenger started holding more, clinching whenever Tyson got close. And though he showed impressive toughness, he simply couldn't match Tyson's work rate or power. By the championship rounds, the difference in output was clear. Tyson had taken control of the fight. He continued to throw combinations and bursts, forcing Tucker to fight off the back foot. Though Tucker remained upright, he wasn't doing enough to win rounds, and he was gradually being outworked by the younger, hungrier champion. After 12 hard-fought rounds, the judges returned a unanimous decision, 119 to 111, 118 to 113, 116 to 112, all in favor of Tyson. It was only the 4th time Tyson had gone the distance in his career, but the victory was no less significant. With the win, Mike Tyson became the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, unifying the WBC, WBA, and IBF titles. At just 21 years old, he was the youngest to ever achieve that feat in the heavyweight division, a record that still stands to this day. He had faced adversity, adjusted, and outpointed a skilled, undefeated opponent over 12 rounds. This wasn't just about knockouts anymore, it was about proving he could win in every way possible. Tyson stood at the top of the mountain, undisputed, unmatched, and still only just getting started. October 16th, 1987, fight number 32. 7 weeks after becoming the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson made the first defense of his unified title. His opponent was the undefeated Olympic gold medalist, Tyrell Biggs, a man who had long believed he was destined to beat Tyson. Biggs had won gold in the super heavyweight division at the 1984 Olympics and turned professional with high expectations. Tall, athletic, and technically sound, he had racked up a 15-0 record with 10 knockouts. But it wasn't just his record that brought intrigue, it was the backstory. Biggs had been vocal, even dismissive about Tyson for years. In fact, during their time on the Olympic team, the two had a frosty relationship, with Biggs reportedly mocking Tyson's style and doubting his future in the sport. Now, in 1987, their paths finally crossed in Atlantic City, with all the heavyweight marbles on the line. From the opening bell, it was clear Tyson had taken Biggs' past comments personally. Biggs started well, boxing from range behind a flicking jab, trying to stay on his toes and avoid Tyson's pressure. For a couple of rounds, he did exactly what he said he would: frustrate the champion. But Tyson was patient. He absorbed the movement, slipped the jab, and began chipping away with heavy body shots. Biggs' rhythm started to break. The jab slowed, the footwork dulled. Tyson had found his range, and Biggs began to feel the weight of every thudding combination. In the 5th round, Tyson opened up with a brutal left hook that snapped Biggs' head back. The crowd roared as the champion began stalking him relentlessly. Biggs tried to hold, tried to move, but there was nowhere to hide. By the 7th round, Tyson had broken him down completely. After battering Biggs into the ropes with a crushing combination, he landed another monstrous left hook that sent Biggs to the canvas. Bloodied and overwhelmed, Biggs rose to his feet, but Tyson swarmed again. Moments later, a final flurry prompted the referee to step in and wave it off. Tyson won by 7th round TKO, his 28th knockout in 32 fights. And in doing so, he delivered a brutal message. This was personal, and this was punishment. The aftermath was telling. Biggs' face was battered, his undefeated record gone, and his career would never truly recover. For Tyson, it was another emphatic chapter in his reign of destruction. A champion defending his crown with cold, calculated fury. He didn't just beat Biggs, he broke him. And the Tyson juggernaut rolled on. After a relentless rise through the heavyweight division, Mike Tyson entered 1988 as the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, holding the WBC, WBA, and IBF titles. Since his professional debut in March 1985, Tyson had fought an astonishing 32 times, crushing contenders, dismantling champions, and unifying the division with a level of dominance rarely seen in boxing history. Now, nearly 3 years into his pro career, Tyson's schedule finally began to slow. In 1988, he would step into the ring just 3 times. But what the year lacked in quantity, it made up for in high-stakes drama and elite opposition. Tyson was no longer the fearsome contender chasing the throne. He was the throne, the man every heavyweight was gunning for. Each opponent came in looking to shock the world, but Tyson remained a step ahead, faster, stronger, and more dangerous than ever. The pace may have eased, but the intensity never dropped. 1988 would prove that even as the hunted, Tyson was still the most feared man in boxing. Fight 33, January 22nd, 1988. Versus Larry Holmes. Mike Tyson's first fight of 1988 was steeped in history. Standing across from him was none other than Larry Holmes, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Holmes had reigned as WBC and later IBF heavyweight champion for nearly a decade, making 20 successful title defenses and compiling an incredible 48-0 record before suffering his first defeat to Michael Spinks in 1985. He was just 1 win away from tying Rocky Marciano's legendary 49-0 record. But by the time Holmes stepped into the ring with Tyson, he hadn't fought in almost 2 years. His last appearance came on April 19, 1986, in a second consecutive loss to Spinks. And his most recent victory was way back in May 1985. Now 38 years old, Holmes was coaxed out of retirement with the chance to reclaim the heavyweight crown and add one final chapter to his storied career. Tyson, 21 years old and in his prime, entered the ring as the undisputed champion, looking to make a statement against a living legend. From the opening bell, Tyson was aggressive, fast, and ferocious. Holmes tried to use his jab and movement to keep Tyson at bay, but the champion's pressure was unrelenting. In round 4, Tyson exploded with a brutal combination. A thunderous right hand sent Holmes crashing to the canvas. The referee waved it off, giving Tyson the TKO victory in round 4. It was the only time in Larry Holmes' illustrious 75-fight career that he was stopped. Tyson had not only defended his title, he had emphatically dispatched one of the greatest champions in boxing history. Fight 34, March 21st, 1988, versus Tony Tubbs. On March 21st, 1988, Mike Tyson stepped into the ring for the 34th fight of his career, defending his undisputed heavyweight championship in Tokyo, Japan, against former WBA world champion Tony Tubbs. Tubbs entered the bout with a 24-1 record and a strong pedigree. He had captured the WBA heavyweight title in 1985 by outboxing Greg Page and was widely regarded as one of the most technically gifted heavyweights of the era. With fast hands, fluid footwork, and solid defensive skills, Tubbs had the kind of style that some believed could trouble Tyson. However, his career had been inconsistent. He lost the title to Tim Witherspoon in 1986 and had since battled questions about his focus and conditioning. Coming into the Tyson fight, Tubbs was in the midst of disputes with his training team and weighed in at 238.5 pounds, noticeably heavier than his best fighting shape. Despite those concerns, Tubbs started the fight confidently. He landed quick jabs and combinations, using his speed and ring IQ to keep Tyson off balance early. But Tyson remained patient, applying steady pressure and slowly cutting down the ring. Then, late in round 2, Tyson landed a thunderous left hook to the head that staggered Tubbs. The challenger wobbled backward and collapsed to the canvas. Though he tried to rise, it was clear he was in no condition to continue. The referee stepped in and waved off the fight, giving Tyson the win by second-round TKO. It was Tyson's 30th knockout in 34 fights, and yet another emphatic display of his devastating power and precision. Tubbs, a former world champion and skilled contender, had brought experience into the ring. But, like so many before him, he couldn't withstand Tyson's firepower. Fight 35, June 27, 1988, versus Michael Spinks. By mid-1988, Mike Tyson was already a household name. Just over 3 years removed from his professional debut, he had torn through the heavyweight division with frightening speed and power, unifying the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. With an unbeaten record of 34-0, including 30 knockouts, Tyson had beaten every man put in front of him, often with ease. But one name still lingered in the background: Michael Spinks. Spinks was no ordinary contender. He was an Olympic gold medalist, a former undisputed light heavyweight champion, who had made history in 1985 by moving up in weight and handing Larry Holmes his first career defeat, and then doing it again in a rematch. Holmes had been just one win away from tying Rocky Marciano's perfect 49-0 record when Spinks upset him. That made Spinks the lineal heavyweight champion, the man who beat the man. And for many boxing purists, that lineage still mattered, even as Tyson collected all the sanctioning body belts. But Spinks had taken a different route. Instead of facing the best heavyweights in the rankings, he had chosen more lucrative fights, including a high-profile bout with Jerry Cooney, which he won impressively via a 5th-round knockout. However, by refusing to face IBF mandatory challenger Tony Tucker, Spinks was stripped of that belt, a title that Tyson would later pick up when he beat Tucker in 1987 to unify the division. Despite this, Spinks remained undefeated and unbowed. His supporters argued that he had never been beaten, and therefore, his claim to the championship, the true championship, still held weight. For nearly 2 years, the fight between Tyson and Spinks was talked about as the ultimate showdown. Tyson had destroyed everyone in his path, defending his titles against top contenders like Bone Crusher Smith, Pinklon Thomas, Tyrell Biggs, Larry Holmes, and Tony Tubbs. Spinks had fought only twice since 1986, but both wins had been decisive. Public pressure mounted. The media framed it as the fight to determine once and for all who the real heavyweight king was. Negotiations were complicated by television networks, promoters, and egos. Tyson was aligned with Don King and HBO, while Spinks was backed by Butch Lewis and Showtime. But eventually, money talked. The bout was set for June 27, 1988, at Trump Plaza in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The financial stakes were enormous. It was the richest fight in boxing history at the time, generating an estimated $70 million. Tyson would earn around $20 million, while Spinks was guaranteed $13.5 million. The event attracted A-list celebrities, sports legends, and media from around the world. The fight was billed fittingly as once and for all. Inside the ring, the build-up quickly gave way to brutality. The opening bell rang, and Tyson wasted no time. He charged out with his signature aggression, bobbing and weaving, looking to close the distance. Spinks, visibly tense and trying to remain composed, attempted to clinch and buy time. But it was no use. Tyson slipped a jab and uncorked a crushing overhand right, arguably one of the most perfect punches he ever landed. It detonated on Spink's jaw and sent him flat on his back. His head bounced slightly off the canvas. He tried to move, but couldn't beat the count. Referee Frank Cappuccino reached 10. The fight lasted just 91 seconds. The long-awaited super fight was over in less than 2 minutes. The result was not just another knockout for Tyson. It was a definitive and emphatic answer to all lingering questions. Michael Spinks was not just beaten, he was obliterated. Tyson had now unified all 3 major belts and defeated the lineal champion. There was no dispute, no debate. He was the one true heavyweight king. Following, arguably, the most significant victories of his career in 1988, Mike Tyson entered 1989 as the undisputed heavyweight king. But with his dominance firmly established, Tyson's schedule slowed, featuring just 2 fights that year, as the boxing world watched and waited for the next challenger brave enough to face the baddest man on the planet. Fight 36, February 25, 1989, versus Frank Bruno. After a dominant 1988 campaign, Mike Tyson returned to the ring on February 25, 1989, to defend his undisputed heavyweight titles against Britain's Frank Bruno at the Las Vegas Hilton. This bout was highly anticipated, having been postponed multiple times due to Tyson's personal and professional challenges, including a divorce, legal disputes, and changes in his training team. The fight commenced explosively, with Tyson knocking Bruno down just 14 seconds into the first round with a right hook. However, Bruno showcased resilience, rising quickly and later in the round, landing a combination, a right hand followed by a left hook, that momentarily staggered Tyson, marking the first time in his professional career that he appeared visibly shaken. Despite Bruno's efforts, Tyson regained control in the subsequent rounds, applying relentless pressure. In the 5th round, Tyson unleashed a series of powerful punches, culminating in a right uppercut and a left hook that left Bruno defenseless against the ropes. Referee Richard Steele intervened, stopping the fight at 2:55 of the 5th round, awarding Tyson a technical knockout victory. This victory improved Tyson's record to 36-0, with 32 knockouts, and reaffirmed his status as the undisputed heavyweight champion. Bruno, despite the loss, earned respect for his tenacity and would later achieve his own championship success. Fight 37, July 21, 1989, versus Carl Williams. On July 21, 1989, Mike Tyson defended his undisputed heavyweight titles against Carl "The Truth" Williams at the Convention Center in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Tyson entered the bout with a perfect 36-0 record, including 32 knockouts, and was widely regarded as the most formidable force in boxing. Williams, standing at 6 feet 4 inches with an 85-inch reach, was the IBF's #1 contender and known for his sharp left jab. He had previously challenged Larry Holmes for the IBF title in 1985, narrowly losing by unanimous decision, and had since secured 5 consecutive victories to re-establish himself as a top contender. From the opening bell, Tyson applied relentless pressure, slipping Williams' jabs and closing the distance. Approximately 76 seconds into the first round, Tyson countered a Williams jab with a devastating left hook to the jaw, sending Williams crashing to the canvas. Williams managed to rise at the count of 8, but appeared unsteady. Referee Randy Newman assessed Williams' condition, and observing a lack of responsiveness and clear signs of disorientation, decided to stop the fight at 1:33 of the first round, awarding Tyson a technical knockout victory. The abrupt stoppage sparked controversy, with Williams and his camp protesting that he was fit to continue. However, Newman defended his decision, citing Williams's glazed expression and inability to respond coherently as justification for halting the bout to ensure the fighter's safety. This victory marked Tyson's 37th consecutive win and 33rd knockout, further solidifying his dominance in the heavyweight division. Unbeknownst to many at the time, this bout would be Tyson's final successful title defense before his shocking defeat to James "Buster" Douglas in February 1990, a loss that ended his reign as the undisputed heavyweight champion. As 1989 drew to a close, fans couldn't help but notice a shift. After years of ferocious activity, fighting nearly every month during his meteoric rise, Mike Tyson had stepped into the ring just twice all year. While both performances were dominant, questions began to surface. Why the slowdown? Some pointed to Tyson's increasing involvement outside the ring, His celebrity status had skyrocketed. He was now a global icon, appearing in commercials, magazine covers, and red carpet events. Others suggested that distractions in his personal life, including a deteriorating relationship with manager Bill Caton and the growing influence of promoter Don King, were beginning to impact his focus and scheduling. Behind the scenes, Tyson's once tightly controlled training regime was beginning to loosen. Kevin Rooney, the trainer who helped mold Tyson into a relentless force, had been dismissed the previous year, leaving a noticeable void in both discipline and technical sharpness. While Tyson was still winning, and winning big, the slowdown in 1989 marked the beginning of a new era. No longer the hungry contender, fighting monthly, Tyson was now a champion juggling fame, pressure, and the early signs of turbulence behind the throne. The storm clouds were gathering, and 1990 would bring one of the most shocking upsets in boxing history. After 4 dominant years and 37 straight victories, Mike Tyson entered 1990 as the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. With all 3 major titles around his waist and a reputation for ruthless knockouts, Tyson looked untouchable. But 1990 would become a defining chapter in his career, a year that delivered both devastation and disbelief. Across 3 fights, Tyson's aura of invincibility would be questioned, his legacy shaken, and the boxing world stunned. The most feared man in boxing was about to face his greatest test yet. Fight 38, 11 February 1990 versus James "Buster" Douglas. In a bout that stunned the sporting world, Mike Tyson was stopped in the 10th round by James "Buster" Douglas at the Tokyo Dome in Japan, suffering the first defeat of his professional career and losing his WBC, WBA, and IBF heavyweight titles. The fight has since become etched in history as arguably the greatest upset the sport has ever seen. Tyson came into the fight with a perfect record of 37-0, including 33 knockouts. He had looked virtually untouchable since becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in history, demolishing opponents with frightening power and speed. Buster Douglas, by contrast, had 4 career defeats and was seen as a fringe contender at best. The odds reflected the perceived mismatch. Tyson was a 42-1 favorite. Many questioned why the fight was even happening, and the general expectation was that Tyson would dispatch Douglas quickly and move on to a much-anticipated super fight with Evander Holyfield. But circumstances behind the scenes painted a different picture. Tyson had recently parted ways with longtime trainer Kevin Rooney, and his preparation for the fight appeared lax. There were reports of chaotic training camps, poor sparring, and a lack of urgency from Tyson's camp. Douglas, on the other hand, was focused and determined, fighting with the memory of his recently deceased mother, who had passed away just 23 days before the bout. That emotional drive would prove crucial. From the opening bell, Douglas took control with a crisp and accurate jab, using his 12-inch reach advantage to keep Tyson at bay. He worked angles, showed impressive head movement, and continually peppered Tyson with combinations. Tyson struggled to close the distance and appeared flat-footed, absorbing punishment without landing his usual bombs. The turning point seemed to come in the 8th round when Tyson landed a huge right uppercut that knocked Douglas down. Controversy followed, as Tyson's team protested the referee's count, claiming it was slow. Douglas rose at 9, but by the end of the round he was back on top, landing more clean punches and keeping Tyson from building any momentum. In the 10th, Douglas delivered a picture-perfect uppercut that snapped Tyson's head back. A blistering combination followed, and Tyson crashed to the canvas for the first time in his career. In a surreal scene, he scrambled on the mat looking for his gum shield, clearly dazed. He couldn't beat the count. The referee waved it off at 1:23 of the round. Just like that, Tyson's reign was over. The result sent shockwaves through the sport and remains one of its most iconic moments. Tyson's aura of invincibility was shattered in front of a stunned global audience. Douglas, once viewed as a stepping stone, became the new undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Fight 39, 16 June 1990 versus Henry Tillman. Just 4 months after his shocking defeat to Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson returned to the ring on June 16, 1990, looking to restart his path back to the heavyweight championship. His opponent was Henry Tillman, a man with a bit of history. Tillman had defeated Tyson twice in the amateurs, including in the 1984 U.S. Olympic trials, denying Tyson a place on the Olympic team and sending him down the path to the professional ranks instead. Tillman, who went on to win Olympic gold in Los Angeles, had never quite made the same impact as a professional. Despite a respectable record, he lacked the power and aggression of Tyson and was seen as an ideal opponent for Tyson's comeback, a name with significance but limited risk. For Tyson, it was personal. This was a chance to settle a long-standing score and make a statement following the biggest upset in boxing history. There had been speculation about an immediate rematch with Douglas, but that didn't materialize. Douglas, who had earned massive attention with his win over Tyson, instead opted to defend his newly won title against the undefeated Evander Holyfield in a big-money bout scheduled for later that year. Tyson, left without a title shot, had to rebuild his reputation, and fast. From the opening bell, Tyson came out sharp and aggressive. He pressed Tillman with measured pressure, cutting off the ring and forcing exchanges. Just under 3 minutes into the first round, Tyson found his opening. After feinting and shifting his weight forward, he launched a looping right hand that crashed flush onto the top of Tillman's head. The shot was devastating. Tillman hit the canvas hard and stayed down as the referee counted him out at 2:47 of round 1. It was a clean, emphatic knockout, Tyson's 34th stoppage in 39 fights, and a reminder that the former undisputed heavyweight champion still carried fight-ending power in both hands. Though it didn't answer all the questions raised by the Douglas loss, the victory over Tillman was the first step in what Tyson hoped would be a swift return to the top of the heavyweight division. Fight 40. 8 December 1990 versus Alex Stewart. Mike Tyson stepped into the ring for his 40th professional bout on December 8, 1990, facing hard-hitting contender Alex Stewart at the Convention Center in Atlantic City. Still on the comeback trail following his shocking upset loss to Buster Douglas earlier that year, Tyson was looking to maintain momentum and reaffirm his position as one of the most dangerous heavyweights on the planet. Alex Stewart entered the bout with a formidable record, 26 wins, 26 knockouts, and only one defeat, which came against Evander Holyfield. A powerful and aggressive fighter, Stewart was seen as a genuine threat, with legitimate knockout power, but he had never faced anyone with Tyson's unique combination of speed, ferocity, and explosiveness. From the outset, Tyson was relentless. He exploded out of his corner and immediately began backing Stewart up, cutting off the ring and punishing him with short, powerful combinations. Stewart struggled to keep Tyson off, and was floored for the first time early in the round by a vicious burst of punches. He bravely got back up, but Tyson was on him instantly, dropping him a second time with another crushing attack. Stewart once again beat the count, but Tyson closed the show seconds later. A thudding left hook sent Stewart crashing to the canvas for a third time, this time for good. The referee waved it off at 2:27 of the first round, handing Tyson a devastating TKO victory. It was Tyson's 35th knockout in 40 fights, and another emphatic reminder of his raw power and finishing ability. Though his aura of invincibility had been dented earlier in the year, this performance showed he was still a fearsome force, capable of ending fights in an instant. The demolition of Stewart was one of Tyson's most ruthless displays, reinforcing his status as a top contender heading into 1991. 1990 marked the beginning of a dark turning point for Mike Tyson. The invincible aura had been shattered in Tokyo, along with his grip on the heavyweight crown. But what lay ahead in 1991 would eclipse even that downfall. The gloves would come off, not just in the ring, but in his life. Scandal, courtroom battles, and personal demons would soon consume the man once hailed as the most feared fighter on earth. Tyson's greatest fight was no longer for titles. It was for redemption, identity, and survival. After the stormy highs and crushing lows of 1990, the year 1991 would prove to be even more pivotal, both in the ring and far beyond it. Mike Tyson entered the new year, still trying to reclaim his dominance, but what lay ahead would ultimately alter the course of his life forever. A single year that didn't just reshape Tyson's career, it fractured the very foundation of the heavyweight division. What began as another chapter in the comeback of boxing's most fearsome puncher would spiral into a turning point that defined the remainder of the decade, for Tyson and for the sport itself. Fight 41, March 18, 1991, Mike Tyson versus Donovan "Razor" Ruddock. By March 1991, Mike Tyson was looking to cement his comeback after rebounding from the seismic upset to Buster Douglas with dominant first-round knockouts over Henry Tillman and Alex Stewart. But in Donovan "Razor" Ruddock, he faced his most dangerous opponent since losing the undisputed heavyweight crown. Ruddock was a fearsome contender, tall, muscular, and armed with one of the most devastating left hooks in boxing, known as the smash. He had earned a reputation as a wrecking ball by knocking out former WBA champion Michael Dokes in a savage fourth-round finish and stopping James "Bone Crusher" Smith, one of the few fighters to go the distance with Tyson. However, Ruddock also carried a blemish on his record. Back in 1985, he had suffered his first and only loss, retiring in the 7th round against journeyman David Jaco due to respiratory problems that had not yet been diagnosed. Since then, he had returned with a vengeance, rebuilding his reputation with knockout wins and establishing himself as arguably the most dangerous heavyweight contender outside of Evander Holyfield. The bout, held at the Mirage in Las Vegas, was not for a title, but it was a WBC eliminator and billed as a war between two of the division's most explosive punchers. The opening rounds lived up to the hype. Tyson applied his trademark pressure, slipping and countering, while Ruddock stood his ground and fired back with authority. In round 3, Tyson dropped Ruddock with a quick left hook. Ruddock got up and fought on, showing toughness and power of his own. He managed to land several of his signature looping punches, and the fight quickly turned into a brutal back-and-forth slugfest. The end came in round 7, when Tyson landed a heavy combination capped by a flush left-right that staggered Ruddock. Referee Richard Steele jumped in to stop the fight, prompting immediate controversy. Though Ruddock was clearly hurt, he was still standing and had shown tremendous heart throughout. The premature stoppage was met with boos from the crowd, protest from Ruddock's camp, and instant calls for a rematch. Tyson had now improved his record to 40-1, 36 KOs. While the result officially went down as a 7th-round TKO victory, it was far from a clear-cut triumph, and it marked a shift in Tyson's career. No longer blowing opponents away in a round or two, he was now entrenched in the brutal wars that would define the second phase of his career. Fight 42, June 28, 1991, versus Donovan "Razor" Ruddock. Mike Tyson stepped into the ring for a rematch with Donovan "Razor" Ruddock, just 3 months after their first bout ended in controversy. Critics had questioned the referee's stoppage in their March encounter, with many believing Ruddock was still in the fight. This time, there would be no early finish. Over 12 brutal rounds, Tyson and Ruddock engaged in a punishing slugfest that tested both men physically and mentally. Ruddock, who had previously stopped James "Bone Crusher" Smith, a man who had taken Tyson the full distance, entered the fight with a point to prove. But Tyson, now under even greater public scrutiny, and with a potential clash against Evander Holyfield on the horizon, came out determined to reassert his dominance. Both fighters exchanged heavy shots throughout the bout, with Tyson scoring 2 knockdowns and Ruddock showing immense resilience despite suffering a swollen eye, broken jaw, and multiple point deductions on both sides for fouls. The judges scored the fight unanimously in Tyson's favor, with totals of 113-109 and 114-108 twice. It was a clear victory, but not without cost. The rematch was Tyson's last fight before his world came crashing down. Legal troubles loomed just months away, and this would mark the final time he competed in the ring before beginning a 3-year prison sentence. In many ways, it was the end of the Tyson era as the boxing world had known it. By the end of 1991, Mike Tyson had staged a strong comeback after his shocking 1990 loss to Buster Douglas. With 4 significant wins under his belt, including 2 fierce battles against Donovan "Razor" Ruddock, Tyson was once again a dominant force in heavyweight boxing. Fans eagerly anticipated a monumental showdown with Evander Holyfield, who had already established himself as the undisputed heavyweight champion. However, Tyson's rising momentum was abruptly halted outside the ring. In July 1991, he was accused of raping Desiree Washington, a charge that shocked the sports world and cast a dark shadow over his legacy. The ensuing trial became a media spectacle, exposing the complex and troubled life of the once unstoppable champion. In early 1992, Tyson was convicted and sentenced to 6 years in prison, ultimately serving 3. This marked a seismic shift in heavyweight boxing. Tyson's imprisonment prevented the long-anticipated fight with Holyfield from happening at that time, delaying what many expected to be one of the decade's greatest rivalries. Holyfield, having already secured the undisputed heavyweight titles, continued to shape the division in Tyson's absence, while the sport grappled with the loss of one of its most electrifying and controversial figures. Tyson's conviction and incarceration not only changed his own career trajectory, but also reshaped the heavyweight division's landscape throughout the 1990s. The dramatic events of 1991 and 1992 marked the end of Tyson's initial reign and underscored how a champion's legacy can be profoundly affected by their life beyond the ring. After 1,463 days in the shadows, Mike Tyson was finally free. On March 25, 1995, the most feared man in boxing walked out of an Indiana prison after serving just over 3 years of a 6-year sentence for rape. It had been 4 years and 7 days since his last appearance in the ring, a punishing 12-round war with Razor Ruddock back on March 18, 1991. In that time, the world had changed, and so had boxing. Evander Holyfield had become undisputed heavyweight champion. Lennox Lewis had emerged as a new force. George Foreman had shocked the world by becoming the oldest heavyweight title holder in history. But even with all that, the shadow of Mike Tyson still loomed large. Behind bars, Tyson hadn't wasted his time. According to reports, he maintained a strict daily routine, running 5 miles a day, performing hundreds of push-ups and sit-ups, and reading voraciously, from philosophy to military history. He kept his body lean and his mind sharp. He hadn't just been biding time, he'd been preparing. Now aged 28, Tyson returned to a sport that had moved on without him, but fans hadn't forgotten. The hype was enormous. His name still echoed with menace. His return wasn't just a comeback, it was a reckoning. The road to redemption began here. The Tyson comeback had officially started. Fight 43, August 19, 1995, Peter McNeely. After more than 4 years out of the ring, Mike Tyson made his long-awaited return on August 19, 1995 in Las Vegas. The opponent, Peter McNeely, a brash and undefeated heavyweight from Medfield, Massachusetts, who had built up a 36-1 record mostly against journeymen. Despite being largely untested at the elite level, McNeely grabbed headlines by promising to wrap Tyson in a cocoon of horror, injecting an air of theater and bravado into the fight's build-up. This was more than just another fight. It was a media event. Tyson's comeback was broadcast on pay-per-view under the banner of "He's Back," and the spectacle generated 1.52 million buys, making it one of the biggest pay-per-view events in boxing history at the time. The crowd was electric, the anticipation feverish. Tyson, now under the guidance of Don King once more, was stepping into the unknown. After years away from competitive combat, nobody quite knew what to expect. The fight itself, however, was brief and chaotic. From the opening bell, McNeely charged forward recklessly, determined to brawl with the former champion. Tyson remained composed, countering with power and precision. Just 8 seconds in, Tyson landed a clean right hand, and within 30 seconds, McNeely was down from a short left hook. He got up quickly and resumed his aggressive approach, but Tyson again dropped him less than a minute later. In a bizarre turn of events, McNeely's manager, Vinny Vecchione, stepped into the ring after the second knockdown, prompting the referee to disqualify McNeely just 89 seconds into the first round. The crowd booed the anticlimactic ending, but Tyson had officially returned, now 42-1 with 38 knockouts. Though the nature of the victory raised more questions than it answered, one thing was clear: the hunger was still there. Tyson was back in the win column, and the boxing world was on notice. Fight 44, December 16, 1995, Buster Mathis Jr. 4 months after his chaotic comeback against Peter McNeely, Mike Tyson stepped into the ring once again, this time facing Buster Mathis Jr. on December 16, 1995 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the first time Tyson had fought on the East Coast since 1986. Originally scheduled for November in Las Vegas, the bout had been delayed due to Tyson suffering a broken thumb during training. There were also issues with securing a venue after New Jersey declined to grant Tyson a boxing license, prompting the relocation to Philly's core state's Spectrum. Mathis Jr., the son of 1960s heavyweight contender Buster Mathis Sr., came into the fight with a 20-0, one no contest record. While undefeated, Mathis had a very different fighting style than Tyson's previous opponents, defensive, stocky, and known more for his durability and mobility than his punching power. He stood nearly a foot shorter than some of Tyson's past adversaries, but shared the same build and squat frame, measuring in at 5 feet 11 and weighing 224 pounds. The first round saw a cautious Tyson feeling out his opponent. Mathis moved well early on, ducking and rolling under Tyson's shots and showing a surprisingly effective defense. But Tyson's pressure gradually ramped up in round 2, and he began to cut off the ring more effectively, backing Mathis into corners and unloading to the body. The end came in the third round. With 33 seconds left, Tyson delivered one of the most devastating combinations of his career. As Mathis ducked down, Tyson caught him with a short right uppercut, followed instantly by a crushing left hook that landed clean on the temple. Mathis dropped heavily to the canvas, flat on his back. Though he tried to rise, the referee waved it off at 2:32 of round 3, giving Tyson his second consecutive knockout since returning to the ring. It was Tyson's 39th knockout in 44 professional fights, and it marked another step toward reclaiming the heavyweight title. Despite Mathis's awkward style and early elusiveness, Tyson had once again proven he still possessed the power and finishing instincts that had once made him the most feared man in boxing. The stage was now set for a return to championship contention in 1996. 1996 marked Mike Tyson's return to the top of the heavyweight division. Once again, the title belts were in his sights, and it didn't take long for him to claim them. But the comeback trail wouldn't be complete without settling old scores. And in 1996, Tyson would finally face the one man he'd long been accused of avoiding, Evander Holyfield. What followed was a two-fight saga that shocked the world, not just for what happened inside the ring, but for what Tyson would do when pushed beyond the edge. These 2 years would define the next chapter of Tyson's career and set in motion another dramatic fall from grace. Fight 45, 16 March 1996. Frank Bruno. After nearly 5 years, Mike Tyson finally had the chance to reclaim a piece of the heavyweight crown. On 16 March 1996, he stepped into the ring with WBC champion Frank Bruno in a highly anticipated rematch at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. The stakes couldn't have been higher. Bruno, now 34, was coming off the proudest moment of his career, winning the WBC heavyweight title in his 4th attempt after outpointing Oliver McCall. But defending that title against a rejuvenated Tyson was a different task altogether. The two had fought 7 years earlier, back in 1989, with Tyson winning by 5th-round stoppage. Now, with both fighters older and with their legacies on the line, the second encounter carried added weight. For Tyson, this was more than just a title fight. It was a symbolic reclaiming of his old identity as world champion. For Bruno, it was about proving that his title win wasn't just a moment in time. From the opening bell, Tyson looked sharper and far more aggressive than he had in his 1995 comeback bouts. Bruno was clearly tentative, working to survive against Tyson's swarming offense. Tyson's movement, head slips, and punching angles, hallmarks of his peak, had returned with frightening clarity. In the 3rd round, Tyson found his opening. He cornered Bruno and unleashed a vicious series of uppercuts and hooks that snapped the champion's head back. A particularly brutal left uppercut had Bruno reeling, prompting referee Mills Lane to step in and wave it off. The official time was 50 seconds into the round. With the win, Tyson became a 2-time WBC heavyweight champion. Bruno, emotional in defeat, would retire after the bout, closing the book on a proud, if often difficult, career. For Tyson, however, the title win marked a new era. He had successfully climbed the mountain once again. But even bigger challenges and deeper controversies lay just around the corner. Fight 46, 7 September 1996. Bruce Seldon. After reclaiming the WBC heavyweight title earlier in the year with a dominant win over Frank Bruno, Mike Tyson continued his march back toward undisputed status. But politics once again played a central role in shaping the path. In 1996, Lennox Lewis had been the mandatory challenger for Tyson's WBC belt. Tyson's team, however, had other plans, and so did Don King. Lewis was offered a career-high $13.5 million guarantee to face Tyson, but instead accepted $4 million from Don King to step aside and allow Tyson to pursue a bout with WBA champion Bruce Seldon. The plan was clear. Tyson would fight Seldon for another world title and, if victorious, would then face Lewis in a massive unification showdown. With the WBC title vacated, Tyson now set his sights on the WBA belt. The bout with Bruce Seldon was booked for September 7th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Seldon had won the vacant WBA title in 1995 by stopping former champion Tony Tucker, and had one successful defense under his belt. Known for his jab and size, Seldon talked confidently in the build-up, but few gave him a serious chance against Tyson's firepower. Once the fight began, any sense of suspense quickly vanished. Tyson came forward immediately, aggressive and intense. Just over a minute into the opening round, a glancing right hand sent Seldon stumbling to the canvas. He beat the count, but Tyson closed in again and landed another short right that sent Seldon down for the second time. Though he rose once more, referee Richard Steele had seen enough and stopped the bout at just 1 minute and 49 seconds of round 1, declaring Tyson the winner by TKO. The crowd erupted, this time in boos. Many were stunned by the ease with which Seldon had gone down, and accusations of a dive circulated widely. Seldon later insisted he was hurt and overwhelmed by Tyson's power, but fans were unconvinced. Still, the results stood. Tyson was now WBA heavyweight champion. The night, however, would be tragically remembered for more than just the fight. Mere hours after the bout, rapper Tupac Shakur was gunned down in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, following an altercation involving members of Tyson's entourage. He would die 6 days later, casting a somber shadow over the event. Tyson appeared to be on top of the boxing world, and just as planned, the next challenge was set. A long-delayed showdown with Evander Holyfield, Tyson's most skilled and accomplished opponent since his return from prison. But what followed would shock the world. Again. Fight 47, 9 November 1996, Evander Holyfield. After reclaiming the heavyweight crown with emphatic victories over Frank Bruno and Bruce Seldon, Mike Tyson was once again champion and the most feared man in boxing. The long-awaited clash with Evander Holyfield, originally planned for 1991, was finally set for November 9, 1996, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. But the timing couldn't have seemed more lopsided. Holyfield, a former undisputed cruiserweight and heavyweight champion, was widely considered washed up. Having battled heart issues and endured punishing wars throughout his career, many believed he had no business being in the ring with Tyson. In fact, the Nevada State Athletic Commission had initially denied him a license in 1994 due to health concerns, and doctors warned that another brutal fight could be life-threatening. He'd gone 2-2 in his previous 4 fights and was a massive underdog. Some bookmakers had him at 25-1. The public narrative was grim. This was less a fight and more a formality. Another name for Tyson to bulldoze on his way to a unification with Lennox Lewis. But Evander Holyfield had other plans. From the opening bell, Holyfield showed no fear. He boxed with poise and control, countering Tyson's aggression with sharp combinations and using his size and experience to tie Tyson up inside. Tyson landed several of his trademark hooks, but Holyfield absorbed them and fired back with equal, if not greater, authority. The turning point came in round 6, when Holyfield dropped Tyson with a short right hand, the first official knockdown Tyson had suffered since the Buster Douglas fight nearly 7 years earlier. Though Tyson beat the count, it was clear the aura of invincibility had shattered. Holyfield's physicality frustrated Tyson. He used head movement, clinches, and constant pressure to nullify Tyson's rhythm. Tyson, who had relied so often on early round knockouts, found himself drowning in the later rounds. His power was no longer bailing him out. In the 10th, Holyfield dominated, landing clean combinations and backing Tyson up, and in round 11, after a sustained and brutal barrage with Tyson pinned against the ropes, referee Mitch Halpern stepped in to stop the fight. Evander Holyfield had done the unthinkable. He had stopped Mike Tyson to become a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. It was one of the greatest upsets in boxing history, not because Tyson lost, but because Holyfield, a fighter many feared for his very health, had dominated. Tyson's comeback story had been upended, and questions about his vulnerability resurfaced. But for Holyfield, it was a resurrection, proof that heart, resilience, and belief could conquer even the most fearsome power. The two men would meet again 7 months later, in what would become one of the most infamous fights of all time. Fight 48, June 28, 1997. Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield 2. In what was meant to be the ultimate redemption arc for Mike Tyson, the rematch with Evander Holyfield on June 28, 1997, instead became the most infamous night of his career, and one of the darkest chapters in boxing history. Held again at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, the fight came 7 months after Holyfield shocked the world by stopping Tyson in the 11th round. The upset was so decisive, many questioned whether Tyson was still a true force in the division. For Tyson, this rematch was more than just a shot at regaining the WBA heavyweight title. It was personal. Tension simmered in the lead-up. Tyson's camp had accused Holyfield of headbutting during the first fight, claims that many dismissed as excuse-making, but Tyson remained fixated. In the pre-fight build-up, Tyson appeared erratic and emotional, while Holyfield was calm, disciplined, and brimming with confidence. At 34, Holyfield had already cemented his status as a 3-time world champion, and he approached the rematch with the mental strength and poise of a seasoned veteran. The fight began with an air of electricity, but also volatility. Holyfield established control early, much like in the first bout. He used his jab to measure Tyson, tied him up in close quarters, and frustrated him with movement. At the end of the second round, Holyfield dipped his head during an exchange, causing an accidental clash of heads that opened a cut over Tyson's right eye. Whether intentional or not, that headbutt proved to be the breaking point for Tyson. When round 3 began, Tyson came out with fury. He suddenly bit into Holyfield's right ear during a clinch, ripping off a chunk and spitting it onto the canvas. Referee Mills Lane halted the fight and chaos ensued. Holyfield leapt into the air in pain. Tyson paced the ring like a caged animal. Doctors examined the wound, and Lane deducted 2 points, but decided, under pressure from the commission in both camps, to allow the fight to continue. But only seconds later, Tyson struck again. In another clinch, he bit Holyfield's left ear. At the end of the round, Mike Tyson was disqualified, and Evander Holyfield was declared the winner via DQ in the 3rd round. The aftermath was explosive. Fans inside the MGM Grand erupted, some in outrage, others in disbelief. Tyson had gone from former champion to sporting pariah in a matter of minutes. The Nevada State Athletic Commission swiftly revoked his boxing license, issued a $3 million fine, and banned him indefinitely. The incident became global news, not just a boxing scandal, but a cultural flashpoint. Tyson's reputation, already damaged, took a further nosedive. It would be over 15 months before Tyson returned to the ring, and the bite fight permanently stained his legacy. More than just a disqualification, this bout represented the collapse of a fighter whose rage had finally consumed his discipline. Holyfield, the win was another high point in a remarkable comeback story. He had proven the doubters wrong, cemented his legacy, and retained his WBA title. For Tyson, the fallout from this fight would lead to another extended absence from boxing, and a further unraveling of the myth he had once built in the late 80s. The Tyson-Holyfield rivalry was meant to be an epic clash of champions. Instead, It ended as the sport's most shocking meltdown. After one of the darkest chapters of his career, and one of the most infamous nights in sporting history, Mike Tyson disappeared from the ring, following his disqualification against Evander Holyfield in June 1997 and the subsequent revocation of his boxing license. Tyson was forced into another long layoff. It would almost be 19 months before Tyson would return to the ring. Now 32 years old, the once undisputed heavyweight king was stepping back into a landscape that had changed dramatically. The heavyweight division had moved on. Lennox Lewis reigned supreme. Holyfield remained a major force, and Tyson, once the most feared man in the sport, was now viewed as unpredictable and deeply flawed. But if Tyson had proven anything throughout his career, it was that he could never be fully counted out. The comeback began on January 16, 1999. Fight 49, Tyson vs. Franz Botha, January 16, 1999. Mike Tyson's first opponent in nearly 2 years was South Africa's Franz Botha, a former IBF heavyweight champion. On paper, it was a fight Tyson was expected to win, but the reality was far more complicated. From the opening bell, Tyson looked sluggish and unsure. His timing was off, his footwork labored, and his combinations absent. Botha, known more for his toughness than elite skill, fought smart, using movement, jabs, and even occasional taunting to disrupt Tyson's rhythm. He repeatedly tied Tyson up in the clinch, frustrated him with short counters, and even began talking to him mid-fight. By round 4, Botha was ahead on the scorecards and had landed the cleaner punches. Tyson looked confused, increasingly desperate, and no longer the intimidator he once was. But in classic Tyson fashion, it only took one punch to turn everything around. In round 5, as Botha momentarily dropped his guard during a clinch break, Tyson unleashed a perfectly timed short right hand that landed flush on Botha's chin. The South African dropped instantly. Though he tried to rise, he was counted out by the referee. The fight ended in dramatic, almost cinematic fashion, a reminder that even a diminished Tyson still possessed the kind of raw power that could end a fight in a heartbeat. But the struggle leading up to the KO told a different story, one of ring rust, fading speed, and a man still trying to find his way back in a sport that no longer revolved around him. Fight 50, Orlin Norris, 23 October 1999. Mike Tyson's second fight of 1999, and the 50th of his professional career, was expected to be another step in his comeback trail. His opponent, Orlin Norris, was no pushover. A former WBA cruiserweight champion and veteran of over 50 professional fights, Norris was experienced, durable, and skilled. While past his peak, he was seen as a tricky test for Tyson at this stage of his career. Held at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, the bout was Tyson's second since returning from a 19-month absence. After a slow start in his January fight against Franz Botha, fans were eager to see if Tyson could put together a more composed performance. In the opening round, Tyson came out aggressively, throwing sharp jabs and trying to close the distance. Norris kept things tight and cautious, using movement and defense to weather the early storm. But just seconds after the bell rang to end round 1, Tyson threw a short left hook that landed and dropped Norris. The punch, thrown clearly after the bell, caused immediate controversy. Norris went down clutching his knee, claiming he injured it as he fell. Tyson returned to his corner, while Norris was treated by ringside doctors. After a few minutes of discussion and inspection, the bout was declared a no contest, as Norris was deemed unable to continue due to the post-bell foul. The incident frustrated fans and raised questions about Tyson's discipline and mindset. While Tyson apologized and claimed he didn't hear the bell, the controversy cast a shadow over what was meant to be a showcase of his renewed focus. Instead, the night ended with boos from the crowd and confusion over what would come next. Though it wasn't a loss, it was yet another night where Tyson failed to build sustained momentum in his post-prison career and left many wondering if the fire was still there. After a chaotic end to the 1990s, marked by ring rust, canceled fights, and questions surrounding his future, Mike Tyson entered the year 2000 with much to prove. Nearly a decade removed from his reign as the undisputed heavyweight champion, Tyson was now a fading icon battling not only his opponents, but the relentless passage of time. At 33 years old, the boxing world still watched with anticipation. wondering if Iron Mike could summon even a flicker of the menace that once made him the most feared man in sports. What followed in 2000 was a year of brief resurgence, bizarre moments, and the lingering sense that Tyson's story, though still being written, was drifting further away from its prime chapters. Fight 51, January 29, 2000 versus Julius Francis. Mike Tyson marked his 51st professional bout by taking on British heavyweight champion Julius Francis at Manchester's MEN Arena. It was Tyson's first fight outside the United States in nearly a decade. Francis, though a seasoned domestic fighter, was widely viewed as outmatched and entered the bout as a 16-1 underdog. From the opening bell, Tyson wasted no time asserting his dominance, scoring 2 knockdowns in the first round alone with quick hooks and uppercuts. While Francis showed heart by rising both times, it was clear he was in deep trouble. Round 2 followed a similar script. Tyson knocked Francis down 3 more times in a matter of seconds, with the 5th knockdown delivered via a brutal right uppercut, proving the final blow. The referee waved off the contest just 58 seconds into the round, awarding Tyson a second-round TKO victory. The performance was explosive and entertaining, reminding the world of Tyson's raw power. But despite the emphatic finish, there were signs that Tyson was no longer the relentless force of his youth. His movement was slower, his timing occasionally off, and the quality of opposition raised questions. Nonetheless, the spectacle proved Tyson could still draw global attention and knockouts. Fight 52, June 24, 2000 versus Lou Savarese. Mike Tyson's 52nd professional bout took place in front of a raucous crowd at Hampden Park in Glasgow, Scotland, as he faced off against Lou Savarese, who entered the ring with a solid 39-3 record and ambitions of derailing Tyson's return to form. But the fight was over almost as soon as it began. Just 12 seconds into the opening round, Tyson dropped Savarese with a thunderous left hook. Although Savarese beat the count, Tyson unleashed a ferocious follow-up assault, forcing referee John Coyle to wave off the contest at 38 seconds of round 1. One of the quickest stoppage wins of Tyson's entire career. In the chaos that followed, Tyson accidentally knocked down the referee in the frenzy to finish the fight, further fueling his unpredictable reputation. But the night wasn't remembered solely for the blistering knockout. In the immediate aftermath, Tyson gave one of the most infamous post-fight interviews of all time. In an unhinged rant directed at Lennox Lewis, Tyson screamed, "I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah." It was a moment that sent shockwaves across the boxing world, simultaneously confirming Tyson's raw aggression was still intact, while raising serious questions about his mental state. Though brief, the Savarese fight added yet another layer to Tyson's mythos. Devastatingly powerful in the ring, utterly volatile outside it. Fight 53, October 20th, 2000 vs. Andrew Golota. After a brutal but bizarre win over Lou Savarese, Tyson returned once more in 2000 to face Andrew Golota, a former heavyweight contender with a reputation for power and resilience. The bout took place at Madison Square Garden, marking the final Tyson appearance of the year. From the opening bell, Tyson attacked aggressively, cutting off the ring and forcing Golota into the corner. As round 2 ended, Tyson had clearly established control, landing the heavier shots and applying relentless pressure. But what happened next shocked the crowd. Between rounds, Andrew Golota stunned his corner by declaring he would not continue. Despite the pleas of his trainer and team, Golota stood firm, walking away from the fight just moments before the 3rd round was set to begin. Referee Frank Garza approached him with a final warning, letting him know there was still time to re-enter the fight. But Golota refused. With no choice, Garza turned to Tyson's corner and officially declared him the winner by technical knockout. Although the result would later be overturned to a no contest after Tyson tested positive for cannabis, the performance itself was ferocious, and in the moment, it was seen as Tyson's most significant win since his return to championship contention in 1996. Fight 54, Mike Tyson versus Brian Nielsen, 13 October 2001. Following nearly a year-long suspension after testing positive for cannabis, Mike Tyson planned to return to the ring against David Izone in June 2001. However, that fight was postponed, as Showtime tried to arrange a mega fight between Tyson and the then WBC and IBF heavyweight champion, Hasim Rahman. This bout would have marked Tyson's first title shot since his controversial 1997 fight with Evander Holyfield, but Rahman ultimately chose to pursue a rematch with Lennox Lewis instead. Tyson's actual return fight took place on October 13, 2001, against Brian Nielsen at Parken Stadium in Copenhagen, Denmark. Nielsen came into the fight with an impressive record of 62 wins and only 1 loss. Known for his durability and toughness, Nielsen was a credible opponent, but not among the elite heavyweights. The fight was controlled by Tyson, who applied relentless pressure and showcased his signature power. After 6 rounds, Nielsen was visibly worn down and chose not to continue, sitting on his stool and retiring at the end of the 6th round. Tyson was declared the winner via TKO. This win made Tyson the #1 contender for the WBC heavyweight title and put him on a collision course with Lennox Lewis, a fight that had first been mooted back in 1996, when Lewis turned down a $13.5 million guarantee to fight Tyson, opting instead to take $4 million from Don King to step aside and allow Tyson to fight Bruce Seldon for the WBC belt, with the understanding that Tyson would face Lewis next. The long-awaited Tyson versus Lewis showdown remained one of boxing's most anticipated matchups, with this victory reigniting hopes it would finally take place. Fight 55: Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis. After years of anticipation, Mike Tyson finally faced Lennox Lewis on 8 June 2002 in Memphis, Tennessee. This fight was highly anticipated because the two had been linked since 1996, when Tyson was the reigning WBC heavyweight champion. Back then, Lennox Lewis was the mandatory challenger, but Lewis accepted a $4 million step-aside payment to allow Tyson to fight Bruce Seldon instead, delaying their showdown by 6 years. By 2002, Lewis had become the undisputed heavyweight champion, holding the WBC, IBF, and IBO belts, while Tyson was no longer the dominant force he once was, having suffered knockout losses to Buster Douglas in 1990 and Evander Holyfield twice in 1996 and 1997. Despite this, Tyson remained a huge draw, and their long-awaited fight was set to finally settle the rivalry. Due to licensing issues in Nevada, the fight was moved to Memphis. The intense build-up featured a notorious press conference brawl, where Tyson lunged at Lewis, sparking a melee between their camps. In the ring, Lewis dominated with his jab, reach, and superior boxing skill. He steadily wore Tyson down, opening a large cut over Tyson's eye and breaking his rhythm. In the 8th round, Lewis landed a powerful right hand that knocked Tyson down. Tyson was unable to beat the count, resulting in a KO loss. This fight ended Tyson's last legitimate shot at a heavyweight title and solidified Lennox Lewis's legacy as the top heavyweight of his era. Fight 56: Mike Tyson versus Clifford Etienne. On 22 February 2003, Mike Tyson stepped back into the ring for his 56th professional bout, facing Clifford, the Black Rhino, Etienne, at the Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee. Etienne, holding a 24-1-1 record, was seen as a game opponent, known for his strength and aggressive style. Yet for Tyson, this fight was about more than just another win. It was a chance to rebuild momentum after the crushing defeat to Lennox Lewis 8 months earlier. There had been uncertainty in the build-up, with rumors swirling that Tyson would pull out due to poor preparation. But when the bell rang, any doubts were erased in under a minute. After a brief clinch that sent both fighters stumbling to the canvas, Tyson landed a thunderous right hand that knocked Etienne out cold. The fight ended just 49 seconds into the first round, making it one of the quickest and most devastating knockouts of Tyson's career. After the fight, Tyson caused a stir by claiming he had entered the ring with a broken back, later clarified as a lingering issue from a past injury. Regardless, the performance was enough to silence critics, at least temporarily. Though the win reignited talk of a potential rematch with Lennox Lewis, Tyson expressed hesitation about jumping back into the spotlight too soon, stating he needed more tune-up fights. Ultimately, the Lewis rematch never materialized. While this wasn't his last fight, it would prove to be his final victory, and a fleeting glimpse of the old ferocity that once made Tyson the most feared man in boxing. Fight 57. Mike Tyson versus Danny Williams. After a 17-month layoff following his win over Clifford Etienne, Mike Tyson returned to face Danny Brixton Bomber Williams, a British heavyweight ranked outside the top 10, and viewed by many as a tune-up opponent for Tyson's latest comeback push. Williams entered with a 31-3 record and huge underdog status, 9-1 on the money line. Tyson came out strong in the opening round, landing crisp uppercuts and left hooks that staggered Williams. But late in round 1, Tyson suffered a torn ligament in his left knee, which would cripple his mobility for the remainder of the fight. Despite this injury, Tyson controlled the early rounds on the scorecards. In round 2, Williams rallied impressively. The third round saw Williams penalized twice, once for a foul that opened a cut over Tyson's eye and another for a low blow. But everything changed in round 4. With only 25 seconds left in the frame, Williams fired a barrage of thunderous right hands that sent Tyson crashing onto the ropes and to the canvas. Williams secured one of the most stunning upsets in heavyweight history, a fourth-round KO at 251. This marked Tyson's 5th career loss and dealt another blow to hopes of a true resurgence. The result shocked the boxing world. Commentators noted Tyson's decline, both physical and mental. At 38, weighed down by injury, finances, and diminished stamina, his aura of invincibility was irreversibly shattered. Williams would go on to earn a world title shot later that year, while Tyson returned only once more, off the rails and out of championship contention. Fight 58. Mike Tyson versus Kevin McBride. After a layoff of just under 10 months following his stunning knockout loss to Danny Williams, Mike Tyson returned to the ring on 11 June 2005 at the MCI Center in Washington, D.C. This would be Tyson's 58th professional bout, and he was matched against Kevin McBride, a towering Irish heavyweight with a record of 32-4-1. At 38 years old, Tyson was clearly in the twilight of his career. Nevertheless, he entered the ring with flashes of his former aggression, looking to end things early. Tyson had some success in the opening rounds, landing sharp body shots and crowd-pleasing combinations. But McBride, using his height and weight advantage, leaned on Tyson in clinches and wore him down with consistent jabs and uppercuts. In round 6, Tyson's frustration boiled over. He attempted to break McBride's arm in the clinch and then delivered a blatant headbutt, which earned him a 2-point deduction. As fatigue set in, Tyson's punches lost their power and precision. At the end of round 6, in a moment that shocked the boxing world, Tyson told his corner he didn't want to continue. He quit on his stool, handing McBride a 6th-round RTD victory. The crowd stood stunned, watching one of the most feared men in boxing history walk away, physically diminished and emotionally detached from the sport. Despite being ahead on 2 of the judges' scorecards, Tyson's body and spirit had clearly given out. This marked Tyson's 6th professional loss, and what would ultimately be his final professional fight. He would officially announce his retirement shortly afterward,